So I guess inevitably with any new young adult franchise, there's comparisons, and especially to Hunger Games. What do you both think makes Divergent different from Hunger Games or from any other sort of franchise?
I mean, sort of inherently the storyline's very different. So at the end of the day, it's like comparing Star Wars to Star Trek in a sense, like they're...
Yeah, I mean, inevitably there are going to be the comparisons because they're set in the future and it has a female protagonist, but in a way, that's it. That's kind of it. I think as well, maybe I kind of hope that it kind of crosses the boundary slightly of not just being a YA movie, but also as a kind of a standalone adult movie as well, because of some of the themes, but also, we're a bit older as well. I'm 60, obviously.
But you look so good for his age.
I was going to say, wow.
It's the Greek. That's the great surgeon.
And what was that casting process like? Because obviously it's so important to get the central figure right.
Well, when I came into the project, I thought, okay, well, who is going to be Triss? And I had, there was a couple of actresses that were on my list, and you always have to have a list because you don't know whether, if somebody's going to be available or not. But the top of the list was Shailene Woodley, and I'd seen Shailene in The Descendants with George Clooney, and she was incredible. She had this kind of quality of vulnerability, but also sort of a swagger and a cockiness that was, and a rebelliousness that I thought was perfect combination for Triss. And so we asked her to do it, and and she was the first person I met, and I said, look, she's the one.
I really loved that she didn't start off very strong. She started off weak in a sense, not only physically, but also emotionally weak, and not being able to sort of exert her own instincts and her own opinions. And then she makes a choice ultimately to leave her family behind because she decides to trust her intuition, and based on that choice, she has to deal with her consequences. And so I liked that she went from being weak to strong, and you got to watch that transition.
And the romance is interesting because it's fairly adversarial for a lot of it, and you're not very nice to her for a lot of the time. I mean, that's an interesting dynamic, I guess.
Yeah, and I like the idea of him not necessarily being fully likable at the beginning. There are shades of kind of warmth when little tiny bits touches and kind of. You can tell that he's starting to kind of look out for her, but he's also, again, this kind of on both sides of the line. You're like, is this guy kind of good guy? Is he a bad guy? He seems quite aggressive. He's kind of confrontational. And then, because again, that's a big journey to go on, then you start seeing him warm up and his barriers to kind of go down, and he starts to trust her and thus kind of fall in love with her.
Yeah. What would be in your fear landscape?
Well, my fear landscape is, doing lots of interviews for the movie and talking to everybody. You're my fear landscape. Yeah.
Excellent.
We are in my fear landscape right now.
Let me read your mind. Let's see if we can read each other's minds. Sharks tearing you apart. Great white sharks. Is that right?
Yeah. Submarines, maybe enclosed.
Oh my
spaces
God, you're
underwater.
amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. So both a lot of water fear. Okay, so okay, I like it. And did you always know you didn't want to sort of continue to the next two installments, or how did that decision kind of?
Well, at first I was going to do the next movie, but it was going to always be a crazy schedule. I was going to be editing this movie while I was prepping the next movie, which was going to shoot in May, no matter what, because they wanted to make the release date the next year. One of those things where the release date is dictating, how the movie is going to be made. But then at a certain point, it was like, this is too crazy, and if I keep on working on the next movie, I'm not going to finish this movie properly. And so at a certain point, it was like, forget it. I can't do the next one. And for a little while, I felt kind of sad about that because I love the cast and I like this world that I created. And but then I'm really happy and proud of the movie, and so then I was like, give it to the world and then be done.
Take your time.
And it was good, yeah.
And I know Neil's not coming back to do the next two films. What's that transition been like? I guess you might already be in pre, or you're already filming the Insurgent?
No, we'll start the next one later this summer, but it is strange. I mean, Neil's who casted us. He's who created this world, and so it's all sort of been his vision, and so it'll be interesting. Not a bad thing necessarily, just new and different. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of on both sides of the coin. it's good to shake things up and have a new perspective on anything. But then, you know, we know Neil very well now, and he kind of did own the world and everything like that. So it's surreal in a way.